let's talk about marriage, but probably not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're not going to talk about romance or flowers or soulmates. We're going to talk about what marriage is in the eyes of the law, the single biggest, most important financial decision you will ever make. I mean, think about it like this. If you were a CEO and you just decided to bring on a co-founder, giving them 50% of your company with no background check, no due diligence, people would call you absolutely reckless. And yet millions of us do that exact same thing every single year. We just call it getting married. So let's just be super clear about what's actually happening here. When you stand up there and say, I do, you're not just making a romantic gesture. You are signing a legally binding financial contract, a merger, if you will. And this is the legal reality of it. You're merging two economic entities. That's you and your partner. This triggers a whole cascade of laws about taxes, property, and debt that ties you directly to your partner's financial habits, for better or for worse. And the crazy part is, most people spend more time reading the terms and conditions on a software update than they do on this life-altering contract. Now, when a financial merger like this goes wrong, it has a tendency to destroy wealth in two main ways. There's what we'll call the slow death, which is like death by 1,000 cuts, and then there's the sudden death, which is, a much faster, more catastrophic event. Let's start with the slow one. The slow death is what happens when a natural saver marries a natural spender. See, for a saver, money is about safety. It's about freedom down the road. But for a spender, money is often about that immediate dopamine hit you get from buying something new. These two mindsets aren't just different, they are in direct opposition. It's kind of like you're trying to fill a bucket with water while your partner is drilling holes in the bottom of it. In this slide, wow, this really shows you the damage. Just look at these numbers. A disciplined saver who socks away 20 grand a year for 30 years at an 8% return, they can build a nest egg of over $2.2 million. But if their partner's spending habits cut that savings rate down to just 5 grand a year, that final number plummets to just over $500,000. That's what we're calling the spender tax. It's an opportunity cost of nearly $1.7 million. It's just gone. But hey, let's say you avoid that slow bleed. You still have to worry about the sudden death. Divorce. With divorce rates for first marriages hovering between 40 and 50%, you are literally making a coin flip bet with your entire net worth. Ask yourself, would you make any other major investment with those odds? Of course not. And when that coin flip lands on tails, the destruction is, well, it's fast. Let's walk through it. Say you've built a respectable net worth of 500 grand together. The 50-50 split takes you down to $250K. Okay, fair enough. But then the lawyers get involved. Let's say that's another $50K gone, so now you're at $200K. Then you have to sell the house, pay realtor commissions, and suddenly your $250K share is actually only worth about $180K. Your wealth wasn't just divided, a huge chunk of it was completely vaporized. And as if that wasn't enough, then there's alimony. This is a legal requirement for the higher earner to keep funding their ex's lifestyle, sometimes for years. To put it in business terms, your ex-spouse effectively becomes a long-term liability on your personal balance sheet, a debt that can seriously handicap your ability to rebuild your own financial life. Okay, so that's a scary part. How do you actually de-risk this? Let's get into the playbook. It's all about treating this merger with the seriousness and the due diligence that it deserves. This question really gets to the core of it, right? You would never, ever hire a chief financial officer without checking their references and their track record. So why on earth would you choose a co-founder for life without even taking a peek at their balance sheet? It's kind of crazy when you think about it. This is why you need to have the money date before you even think about getting engaged. We're talking about total radical transparency. Show me the credit score, show me the student loans, the credit card debt. But honestly, it's the deeper questions that matter most. What does wealth even mean to you? Do you see debt as a strategic tool, or is it just a way of life? The answers tell you everything. And of course, that brings us to the prenup. We have got to reframe this. A prenup is not about planning to fail. It's not cynical. Look, you buy car insurance because driving is a statistically dangerous activity. Well, as we've just seen, so is marriage. A prenup is just an insurance policy. It's a tool that forces you to have these hard conversations and set the rules of the game while you're both still on the same team. And let me be absolutely clear about this. If your partner refuses to even have a calm, rational conversation about a prenup, that is a massive, massive red flag. it might suggest that they're not fully committed to a fair partnership and are instead banking on the state's default rules if things go south. But look, after all that doom and gloom, I want to completely flip the script. Because if you can avoid a bad merger, if you can create a good one, marriage becomes the single greatest wealth-building superpower on the planet. Just look at the two paths here. A bad merger is a life of constant financial friction, stress, and fighting. But a good one? That's a superpower. You get economies of scale, you get double the tax-advantaged retirement space with two 401ks, you get a built-in accountability partner. Two people, totally aligned, working toward one financial goal, they are an unstoppable economic force. You build a financial fortress together. So you have to do the due diligence. You have to choose your co-founder wisely. Protect the romance by getting the finances right from day one. Because at the end of the day, just remember this. A broken heart can heal, but a broken retirement account, that can last a lifetime.